Everyone told Maya she was making the biggest mistake of her life. Her mother cried. Her best friend stopped talking to her. Even her pastor pulled her aside before the ceremony. "Are you sure this is God's plan?" Maya smiled. Said yes. She was 32. She had waited long enough. The man was kind, stable, ready. That was enough. Or so she thought. But this story doesn't start at that wedding. It starts 4 years earlier, a Tuesday night, a hospital parking lot. Maya alone in her car, making the decision that changed everything. Maya always did things right. Church. Youth group. Good grades. Good job as a nurse. Savings. By 28 she had a real list, written in a notebook by her bed: find a godly man. Get married. Start a family. Simple. The men came. And went. Kevin loved God but feared commitment. Samuel wanted to marry fast, too fast, something felt wrong but Maya couldn't name it. Daniel was perfect on paper and boring everywhere else. By 30, she stopped writing in a notebook. By 31, she went to fewer church events. Not because her faith was weak. Because every Sunday someone asked with a smile that felt like a needle, "Still waiting, Maya?" Then she met Thomas. Thomas was calm. Confident. He made her laugh. He talked about God like he was someone Thomas actually knew. On their third date he said he wanted a family, a quiet life, a partner who shared his values. Maya felt something open in her chest. This is finally it. They dated 1 year. He was consistent. Respectful. He came to church, helped her mother with groceries, remembered small things she mentioned once and never again. He proposed on a Saturday morning, no ring, no plan. Just the question, "Will you marry me? I just know I want to do this with you." She said yes immediately. That same night, she could not sleep. Not joy. A quiet, cold feeling she could not name. She told herself it was nerves. She told herself this was normal. She did not tell anyone. 3 weeks after the engagement. A night shift at the hospital. An older patient, Grace, 71, called Maya over at 2 a.m. "You look troubled." Not tired. Troubled. Maya gave her nurse smile. "I'm fine." Grace looked at her carefully. "Does he make you feel like yourself?" Maya opened her mouth. Closed it. Grace didn't say anything else. She held Maya's hand and went to sleep. Maya stood in that room for 5 extra minutes. Alone. The question stayed with her for days. 2 months before the wedding. Small arguments about small things, table arrangements, music, a cousin's speech. Then one evening Thomas said something that stopped all the air in the room. "You always have to be right, Maya. Even when it doesn't matter. That needs to change after we're married." Maya apologized. Told herself he was stressed. Told herself all couples argue. But that night in the bathroom she looked at her face in the mirror and thought, when has he ever said sorry first? She could not remember. She pushed the thought down. Under the wedding plans, the dress fittings, the flowers and the cake and the happiness everyone expected her to feel. The parking lot. 4 weeks before the wedding. A 12-hour shift. Maya too tired to drive, sitting in her car. She called her best friend Deborah. "Deb, 3 honest words. Not good, not bad. Just true." Described Thomas. Long silence. "Maya. Please." Another pause. Then, controlled. "Charming. Careful." Maya sat with those 3 words. They were not bad words. They were not good words. They were the truth no one had said out loud. She drove home. Did not call Thomas. She opened her Bible and read for a long time without finding what she needed. Then she got on her knees and prayed the prayer she had been afraid to pray. God, I don't know what to do. But I think I've been choosing what I want instead of asking what you want. Show me the truth. Even if it hurts. Especially if it hurts. She expected nothing. But something shifted that night. Something quiet. 2 days later, Maya called Thomas. They met at the same coffee shop as their first date. She put her hands on the table. When I really disagree with you, how does that make you feel? Thomas, like we're not on the same team. And what should a wife do when she disagrees with her husband? Trust him. No hesitation. Maya nodded slowly. Thomas. I think you are a good man. I think you will make someone very happy. A breath. But I don't think that person is me. Thomas stared at her. The wedding is in 3 weeks. I know. Maya. You're making a terrible mistake. Maybe, she said. But I would rather make this mistake now than the other one later. She drove home and cried for 2 hours. Not because she was wrong. Because she was right, and it cost her everything. What came next was not a love story. It was harder than that. Her mother didn't speak to her for 6 weeks. The venue cancelled. Guests told. Her church community, people who loved her, looked at her with confusion. With pity. At work she was fine. She was always fine at work. But at night she sat with the quiet she had chosen, and sometimes it felt like peace and sometimes it felt like punishment. 3 months later, a Sunday, Maya sat alone in the back of church. She hadn't sat in the back since she was a teenager. An older woman, Sister Patricia, everyone called her Auntie Pat, sat next to her without asking. You look like someone who made the right choice and doesn't know it yet. Maya laughed, short, surprised. How would you know? Because I made the wrong choice at 32. I looked exactly like you, but I was inside a marriage instead of outside of it. Leaving when it's easy is hard. Leaving when it's impossible is something different entirely. Maya thought about that for a long time. She started doing something new. Being honest about what she actually wanted. Not a husband. Not a wedding. Not the approval of her mother, her church, the women with needle smiles. A partner. A real one. Someone who thought she was right sometimes. She started noticing things she had pushed away. She liked silence. Long conversations about hard questions. People who disagreed with her and stayed in the room. She had been so focused on finding a man who was ready, she never stopped to ask if she even liked him. 14 months later. A continuing education workshop for nurses. The speaker talked about decisions under pressure, how fear changes thinking, how we mistake certainty for safety. The man next to her leaned over. She's describing the last job I left. Maya looked at him. Not her type. Quiet. A little awkward. Coffee in one hand, notebook full of handwritten notes in the other. What was the job? She whispered. They talked through the break. Through lunch. Then for an hour in the parking lot after. His name was James. 36. He had left a good career to run a small clinic in an underserved community, 3 nurses, not enough money, more patients than expected. That sounds terrifying, Maya said. Every day, James said. He smiled like that was a good thing. Maya noticed something strange. She was not performing. She was not wondering is he the one. She was just talking to someone she found interesting. James called 2 days later, not to ask her on a date, but to ask if she wanted to volunteer at the clinic. She went. Stayed 3 hours. Came back the next week. 7 months before James said anything about his feelings. Not because he was slow, because both of them were moving carefully. They had both made choices that cost them something. He had left money for purpose. She had left safety for truth. They understood each other without explaining it. One evening, locking up the clinic together, James stopped at the door. "I want to say something." "You don't have to say anything back." Maya waited. "I think you are the most honest person I've ever met." "Not kind honest. Actually honest. And I didn't know that was what I was looking for until I found it." Quiet moment. "I canceled a wedding to find that," Maya said. "I know," James said. "Deborah told me." "You know Deborah?" "She's my cousin." Pause. Maya laughed. Loud. Real. Surprised. James laughed too. And that moment, small parking lot, underfunded clinic, no plan, was the most free she had felt in years. Maya and James got married 18 months later. 30 people. No drama. Her mother cried, happy tears this time. Auntie Pat leaned over at the reception. "Now you look like someone who made the right choice and knows it." But here is what Maya always told people when they asked. The miracle was not James. The miracle was the parking lot. The Tuesday night when she was too tired to pretend. When she stopped asking for comfort and asked for truth instead. The miracle was saying no when everything in her life said say yes. Because here is the thing about waiting. Sometimes waiting is patience. And sometimes waiting is fear. The most important thing you will ever do is learn the difference. Maya learned it at 32, alone in her car, too tired to lie to herself anymore. And everything that came after, the pain, the silence, the slow and honest love, was worth it. Not because she got the happy ending. But because she finally stopped being afraid of the wrong one. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories like this. God bless.